Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Fifi, congratulations.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
In an answer to the chairman at the outset, when he asked you what you were bringing to the table, you said you were bringing usefulness to the table, which, would challenge the status quo. Today, we have played with the youth every now and then. By our definition, you are no longer a youth. 12 to 35, you are only a youth by state of mind. Now, if you're talking about challenging the status quo, what have you found in the status quo which are negative that you want to use, your coming to the ministry to address helping the minister? What are some of the things? Just a few points.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I've not exactly gone into the ministry as yet. I believe, however, that over the last 52 years, we have walked along a certain path, economically, politically, socially. And clearly, no matter what our best intentions have been, that path has not been able to deliver our dream as yet. We still aspire to move from our status of economic development into a higher state of economic development that we are calling becoming what you call, like the Malaysians and the Singapores of this world, meaning what you call a middle income status, and possibly move beyond the middle income status to becoming a first world country. I believe that no matter how great the intentions have been and what work have been done, there are still ways in which we can challenge ourselves, ways in which we can do all things in a new way, and ways in which we can bring new ways into the way things have been done. That's exactly where I'm coming from. I believe, for example, that the whole hydra-headed difficulty relating to matching revenue with expenditure, which has been our perennial difficulty, I believe that clearly will be solutions. If there are no solutions, then we might as well give up, because it means that there is no hope. There must be hope. There must be hope in doing something significant about our revenue. There certainly must be hope about doing something massive, about bringing what you call prioritizing our expenditure, streamlining our expenditure in a manner in which we can get best value for money for every allocation of resource that we've done in this country. And I come in from that perspective, believing that clearly there should be new ways in which we can do things that will take us much further, much faster, to our destination. And that's where
if I may narrow down the challenges in the status quo that
the difficulty relating to matching revenue with expenditure, which has been our perennial difficulty, I believe that clearly will be solutions. If there are no solutions, then we might as well give up, because it means that there is no hope. There must be hope. There must be hope in doing something significant about our revenue. There certainly must be hope about doing something massive, about bringing what you call prioritizing our expenditure, streamlining our expenditure in a manner in which we can get best value for money for every allocation of resource that we've done in this country. And I come in from that perspective, believing that clearly there should be new ways in which we can do things that will take us much further, much faster, to our destination. And that's where
if I may narrow down the challenges in the status quo that needs to be addressed. Resource mobilization, for instance. What new ways? Well, we have done it the same old way. We think about cocoa only, and even our tax system, the way it operates, there's not raking the needed revenue for us to be able to address the concerns of our people. So what new ways, what new ideas do you have to put to the table to assist your minister to address the concerns that we have?
Let me say, for example, that I believe that we certainly can do much more within the informal sector than we have done so far. I do acknowledge that there are difficulties when it comes to raising revenue from the informal sector, because the very nature of the non-formality of that sector makes it much more difficult. But I believe that, that is a dimension that we can do something massive. Because if you're talking about a system where, just about what percentage of our population is within the banking stream? It's a very small percentage. The vast majority of what you call people who are working, people who are earning income, are outside of that banking stream. And these people are working and therefore are earning revenue, and therefore we can get taxes from them as well. And I believe there are ways in which we can find to be able to bring them into the mainstream in order to be able to find it easier to mobilize revenue from them. But I'm looking at it not just in terms of revenue. I'm looking at the vast potential of that informal sector. The capacity to, for example, help the watch seller to grow her income from, let's say, 10 million a year into a 20 million. And that capacity can be enhanced if we can find clever means by which we can, as it were, extend what you call credit to people who are within the informal sector. I believe, for example, that the whole issue about microcredit is an issue that we need to explore more. I agree that there are difficulties because naturally we come from a culture where paying back, money is given to us is not always the best. But I believe that, especially, let me be a bit biased here, starting from women, we can get much more using microcredit. Because as it is, women over time, and I think historically across various nations, have proven to be much more faithful in paying back than men, unfortunately. So as a people, we should find clever means by which we can, as it were, push more microcredit into that informal sector and help that informal sector to become much more productive and grow income. And the more you grow income, the more it becomes easier for us as a country to be able to get revenue from them as well.
The other challenge that the minister even spoke about in his budget statement is, he didn't put it in the same way, but corruption. Corruption is a very serious issue, and in all the audit reports that we read, we find corruption. He even talked about payroll, the payroll, problem that needs to be addressed. Government after government have touched on it. It's a challenge that if you are bringing something to the table to do things in fresh ways, has to be addressed. Quite often, this issue, when it's addressed, is a politician who becomes an endangered species. And I've been saying that, look how many people are ministers and deputy ministers. You don't, nobody has ever had 100. You have the public servants down there. Look at the budgets, at the audit statements. They are the ones who are indicted. Yet, politicians are the ones who, becomes an endangered species. What are you bringing to the table to, address this misnomer and tackle, the issues as far as those who, do not manage our resources well are concerned?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And I would think that in this particular respect, it becomes a national issue, the issue about tackling corruption. The kind of corruption that, as it were, brings about massive leakage of revenue. Where, for example, you have big-time importers, bringing their goods into the country and some way, somehow, managing to evade tax. We should, as a country, be able to take a hard look at it. I believe that commitment has been demonstrated over the years, but there's still something we can do in order to be able to block some of those loopholes. And that's what I'm saying. As soon as opportunity is presented, some of us want to take a critical look at this and see how we will be able to, as it were, resolve some of the difficulty. We may not entirely eradicate it within a short period, but at least we can minimize it and save this country vital resources.
Another issue is about customs policing of our various ports. The routes. You go to Tama Harbor, anybody who is an importer will tell you the hell that they go through. So if you want to pay the money to the state, you will be given a lot of hell. But if you want to drop it on the side, it will come out in no time. And these are areas where a lot of money comes in, where we have lots and lots of investment. What will you do as a young person with youthful exuberance to help your minister and your other colleague, especially the minister, to address this issue? It is something that people talked about before you left. They're still talking about it. So I want to hear, your take on this one.
I may not be able to give you a comprehensive answer to that, but what I can tell you is simple: that within that same system, you can find people who are willing to, as it were, tell you exactly what the problems are. People who are strong enough to want the right thing to be done. And what is important is to be able to, as it were, get in touch with those within that system who want the system to be sanitized. And to the extent that you can get their cooperation and get inside information as to how the problem can be resolved, I believe with the right political will and commitment, we should be able to address it.
My last point is you raised the issue of microfinancing. For me, microfinancing in this country is just a joke. When you give a farmer 500,000 as a way of helping the farmer who goes out there to hire, tractors, 200,000 per acre. So 2 acres, the money is gone. You are not talking about even inputs. Do you think that, something has been done about the microfinancing that we're talking about? And there have been other interventions, indeed, for at certain levels. The money does not go to where they should go. Because assessing them has been very difficult. What ideas, having been in the financial circles for a while, have you, conceptualized what you want to put on the table for the minister and your group to help us, so that come next budget session, you have beautiful stories to tell us, rather than what we've been, having now business as usual. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I disagree when you say microcredits is a joke. I could agree when you say that in some instances.
Let me explain to you. The paltry sum that we dole out to these people, I have a large rural, constituency, and they have attempt to assess microcredit. Before you even get 1 million, you have to be registered. By the time the money gets to you, it's about 750. Those who are giving $500,000. And sometimes they don't even use it. I'm saying that the paltry sum that we send out is the concern. That makes it, a joke. Do you think that we should continue with that? If not, what is the way forward, in your opinion?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My opinion really is that microcredit must be tailored with the view to making sure that people are given what it is that they can pay. You don't want to give somebody much more credit than he can afford to pay back. Otherwise, what you are doing is crippling the person. So what you describe as paltry may actually be sufficient for one group and may not be sufficient for another group. So it is important to us it will vary depending upon the capacities of the various economic agents that we are dealing with. But more important than simply giving money is what must accompany the giving of that money. A lot of these people require beyond money what you call virtual day-to-day monitoring to be able to help them to be able to pay back. Monitoring sales, giving them basic ideas as to how they can keep basic books in order for them to be able to actually make the appropriate returns and be able to pay back on the monies that have been given to them. I believe that as a people, we clearly should be able to do it, especially if we start leaving politics out of it and we do it purely as an economic venture with a view to transforming the economies of individuals. We clearly would have. I mean, there have been instances of clear success in various places, and I think we can learn from some of those successes. The Grameen Bank is an example of how successful it can be, and I believe we can learn from some of those best practices. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.